it's again bunch of parameters and you want to say yes or no. So far, do we understand what the data science is all about? And okay, what is R? I have already explained a few times. It is an open source language. One of the things is it's an open source. There are as I say 2.5 million users. Has been around since the 70s. A very old language. What Microsoft R is all about is they adapted the open source R, to be specific, a particular version 3.3.2. Microsoft R is also open source, meaning you can add on your packages to it. They have adapted a particular version and they have made some really good enhancements. One of the pain points, or let's probably let me ask the gentleman over there who actually works with R. So, what are the pain points you would commonly face if you are using a traditional R? I just want to know from some. Sorry? Slow. Okay, good. One of the few major pain points in the traditional R is the computation, meaning I keep speaking about algorithms, right? The algorithms for it to run, it runs on the R client. Just like our management studio, it runs on the client tool. What happens when it runs on the client tool? You are limited to whatever resources you have on your client. And more importantly, R does its compute all in memory. So, if your client machine has limited amount of memory, I have seen many developers complain that they are unable to compute simply because of lack of resources on that particular client machine. The first and foremost thing about Microsoft R is you can leverage on the server resources, meaning the compute or doing the calculation and working out that algorithm, it runs on the server, just like we run queries, meaning you take advantage of the massive resources of a huge database server. Next, again, you are defeating the memory limits which are traditionally there with the R client. If we are using SQL Server as the data source and the database, we are obviously putting our R service and the SQL Server on the same database server, then fetching the data from R server to the database, there is no network traffic involved. It's a direct straight transfer, which is again a massive gain when you actually use traditional R. And then parallelism. When you are using the traditional R, when it runs from the client, it is single threaded, whereas when you actually put it on the server, again like SQL Server, it has the ability to make use of parallel processes to do the compute. Another one of the pain points that was explained by a few developer friends of mine who actually use R was porting over the application into production, meaning I use R, it is not that easy to deploy the solution. More often than not, you have to convert the R code traditionally into some other programming language to actually make it into a running code on production. Some people say doing that can take months. This again can be avoided if now you have the ability to place your R code within SQL Server stored procedures, which means it is a much easier task to place your code inside stored procs instead of trying to develop another layer to deploy it to production. So, yeah, sure, shoot. Of course.
You said that Microsoft took the certain version of R and then they made it as an open source. Now, how does it evolve? Like, are there some people or maybe
just
Microsoft?
Like patches, as with patches, actually, it does get upgraded. Beyond that, even if you want to add your own packages, you can also plug it in. Yeah.
R, let's say that there is a package that exists that runs in R, and you want to make it like converted to Microsoft R. So
Small comments of I won't be covering how a package can be deployed. Your custom-made package can be deployed, but it's not so much of a task to do that. You can always port over a particular package and push it in. Previously, there was a company called Revolution Analytics, which they had developed something called Scalar. Their packages have been adopted. Microsoft actually took over that company. Their packages have been adopted, and further it has been improved. Okay, so what effectively happens is on the database server, you install. Once you install R services, you get two services. One is the R service, which is called the launchpad, and then you have your usual age-old SQL service as well. Okay, so when somebody actually from an R client, even or once you install Microsoft R itself, you also get something called Microsoft R client, which is like a console where you can directly just run the R commands. Even on that client, you can actually set the compute to server, meaning you can actually set run all my R commands inside the server, not on my client. You can set that. So once you set it and you run some commands, then what happens is the request receives by R service, then data is fetched from the DB, and then the result is thrown back to the end user. This screen looks familiar? Yeah. This is the installation screen. What's different in a typical SQL installation? What you see, too small, is it? Oh, yeah. Once first let me show this screenshot. Yeah. So you see R services in database, which means this actually, once you check this component, this actually gives you the ability to call R commands from your SQL stored procedures. One of the things, even if you don't like, okay, I don't want to learn R as a database administrator, at least you should know how, moving forward, probably 3 years down the line, you may be asked to deploy R code onto your DB server. So at least you should know how to add the R code or how to install R on database server. Nothing fascinating on setting up R or something. It's pretty simple. So you need to enable R in services. That's one. You have this other one called R server standalone, which is not the focus of this session, which is mainly for if you decide to run just R alone, not database service, just Microsoft R service alone, not the database service. And when you pick the services, you get this SQL Server Launchpad, which is actually responsible for the communications between the database server and the R. So you can think of it as typically the R service, which is behind the scene going to do the job. And you also, another screen is also regarding the license, GNU license. So you need to accept that because it is based on open source components. You have to accept the GNU license to use this component. And one more point is installation. By default, it goes to download the packages from the internet. So if you are on a server which does not have internet where you need to install R, you have to download it offline and then store it in a certain location and then use that to install. There is enough material for you to look up how to do an offline installation. Okay, the focus of this session again is to show how you can actually start calling R commands from SQL Server stored procedure. Me being a DBA, after I learned these concepts, just a little bit of it, I have enough ideas to actually implement this on my day-to-day job. Whatever database, I maintain about 120 database servers. So I am fascinated so much by this language that I would like to apply it as a database administrator, I have enough use cases where I feel I can do a better job using R in my office itself. Couple of scenarios, I will show it today as a demo. Probably my intention behind this session is, hopefully I will motivate some of you to think in that lines, to use it innovatively on whatever projects you are working on. So how it works, let's say you have a stored proc, you want to run an R command and also a SQL query. Okay? So immediately the call, you need to call using something called sp_execute external script, which is the script similar to our XP command shell, you can think of it. That is the script that is used to run R commands. Okay? And then the call goes into the R service or the launchpad.exe, which actually spawns processes. It actually it spawns something called satellite processes internally to run the R results and return to the DB server. Each SQL account which is actually running, the satellite processes, for each SQL account it runs, you have a different Windows user account which actually runs the satellite processes, so that you have a good layer of security when you are actually calling some Windows process. Meaning, let's say account A executes an R command, he gets an account. Internally, his commands are run using one account inside Windows. Account B will get a different account. It's not the same account which runs all the satellite processes. Okay, so let's you just need to use, I have already enabled it on my machine. You just need to enable, just like XP command shell, you need to enable external script execution. And then for non-sysadmin accounts, you need to grant the permissions separately. Again, similar to what you do for XP command shell. This is just a very, very simple, basic hello world call. Hello world. Programmers will know if you start a program, first thing you do is try to print hello world, right? So this is something like that. So what it actually says is language is R, and this input data set is the input query. Output data set is what the output we are planning to print, and the result set out here is the result that we are going to give out. Just a simple hello world. So we will be looking at slightly lot more complex. I would not call it complex from data scientist view, but for someone new, slightly lot more complex R scripts in the subsequent slides. So before we move in there, any questions so far? Yeah. No? Yes, please.
Execution of the script. Will it give these rights for R execution only or for any external script?
No, R execution.
Only R.
R execution. Okay, shall we get into a little bit of R? First algorithm I would like to take up is probably the simplest, one of the most simplest algorithms that you would actually use in R, which is, they call it logistic regression. what logistic regression actually does is, let's say we have certain bunch of columns, and we want to predict a value of another column, but it allows you to predict only 0 or 1. Usually, you use it in the cases of pass or fail. One of the classic examples in the R site, Kaggle site, number of people who survived the Titanic, whether the guys who took the Titanic ship, how many people survived. You can use logical regression to find out, okay, first class people survived, second class people didn't survive, first class males survived, and so on. Again, you can probably use it for credit card fraudulent transactions, because over there we are just predicting whether it's a fraudulent transaction or a genuine transaction. Let's say you have the data of where the transaction is coming from, how many frequent transactions, what is the transaction amount, usual transaction which value, what is this account limit, all these kind of information you have, and then the new transaction that comes in, you just want to figure out whether it is going to be a fraudulent transaction or not, yes or no. Those kind of things can be applied using this algorithm. Okay, now let's get into a little bit of a familiar territory of a typical DBA table. Now, how this algorithm can be used in a DBA's day-to-day life is what next thing we would like to see. How do you guys monitor your DB server? Like, how do you track your workload of your DB server? One of the common methods is people have these tables where you actually track at a certain frequency the queries that are run against your DB server, along with how much of CPU it took, how much of memory it took, what was the wait type, how long it wait, was there any blocking, where it came from, all these kind of information. In case of a performance problem, what does a DBA would like to figure out? Okay, whether the query is expensive or not, right? Let's see whether we can apply R to this particular. Excuse me, I didn't select something. Okay. Let's say I have this table. Okay, this particular table I have simplified it so that for a demo of this range, we just have a few selective columns where I have CPU time, duration in minutes, how much logical reads, and what was the query. By past experience, I have marked the query myself. This is the training table where by my past experience, I have marked, okay, these queries actually caused a problem to my server. I have marked it on the column called expensive query. If the value is 1, it means it's expensive. If the value is 0, it's not expensive, right? So over here, I know the data fairly well, so I straight away get into the model development phase of the data science process. I just gate crash into that phase. So I'm going to build up a model. I'm going to use logical regression. I'm going to build this model using this data. This is the training data, and see how it is going to be helpful if we were to use for finding whether the query is really expensive or not. So this is the way you actually pass some serious queries into the R scripts, use it along with R. First, you define the query as a string, and then this is revolution scalars function, Rx logit, which is the logistic regression function, where over here you specify which parameter is the one that you are going, which column is the one that you are going to predict. Over here, I specify the factors that are going to influence. Because we are DBS, we know obviously CPU, memory, IO, all these kind of things are the ones that are going to influence whether my query is expensive or not, right? So I pass these parameters. Data scientists, don't laugh. This is a very, very simple model that I am showing for people. So, and yeah, me being a beginner in R, I know only simple models. And what I'm doing out here is I'm going to store it inside a table. I build this model. I'm storing it inside the table so that I can use this particular value to do my predictions. Basically, this query and this algorithm gets inside the table. The data type needs to be var binary. That's it. That's the table. Okay, so I have created the model. Now let's go and actually do some prediction. Let's say I want to track what are the queries that were expensive in these 3 days between 2015 July 16th to 19th. I would like to leave out backup queries or sleeping queries so that I actually care for the serious workload. Again, we define the query, and then we pick the model that we built just now. Unserializing is actually opening up. You can ignore. The most important point is the Rx predict, where we actually say this is the input, this is the score. Predict var names actually says what is the probability that column is going to have 1 or 0. It gives me a probability saying that whether the query is going to be expensive or not. Over here, I pass the input query and I try to get the output on this particular variable. Let's go ahead and run this. Okay, it says it's done. By the way, I'm running on a very, very small laptop with 8 GB RAM and not supposed to be meant for these kind of calculations. So it takes a while. Now, what we have, let me just first run this part of the query. I have stored the result in this temporary table so that it's easier for us to query and see what it has returned. The important point is I asked it to return the thing called score. This is the output of the algorithm. And over here, you can actually define score, and these are the input columns. I am also pulling the input columns so that we can actually compare our result sets. Okay, now let's run this quickly. I have multiplied the last column by 100 so that it appears like a percentage. It is expressed in percentage. So whatever that's close to 100 is actually an expensive query. Let's go ahead and observe the ones that are more than 90, meaning the algorithm actually tells me I'm 90% sure or 90% or more sure that this particular query is indeed expensive. Let's see whether, as a database administrator, by looking at the query, we can actually have an idea whether it's an expensive query or not. So okay, these are the queries it says, it is actually expensive. Look at the reads out here, which is significant, or look at, especially look at the ones that are 100%, which if you notice, the reads are significantly high, the CPU time is high, the time taken is about 1 minute and 2 minutes and so on. So as you can see, how much of time did it take for me to come up with something with certain amount of intelligence, instead of me randomly looking at columns and trying to pick something. Instead, it hardly took me probably about 10 minutes to build up this thing. Little bit of effort to learn what these words are, what the weird errors are. If you have a friend who understands R fairly well, it makes it little easier, but not so hard. When I showed this to my development friends, they equally loved the idea, because usually they have it as text files. Their data is as text files. Let's say if they want to change something, it is painful. Over here, okay, I don't like this model. Go ahead and delete the row and put another algorithm in, club it in. I want to change my training data set, modify my query. It's in 10 minutes, I can do changes. Imagine about using a CSV and doing those things. It makes it a lot more painful to build something like that. Any comments? Like, no, it can be. Basically, I'm interested in learning. I tried to talk to 2 or 3 people regarding this. What they were also telling me is, yes, it is hard to meddle with CSVs than to play around with these columns. It's much easier to do those kind of things. This is one part of the story. Other part of the story, if you are a regular to this meetup, I myself has given sessions on in-memory, column store, on all the other fascinating things on SQL Server 2016. So what it means is my query can take advantage out of SQL 2016's powers. My R also takes advantage out of Microsoft R's powers. Together, it becomes a superb combo of sorts. Imagine reading CSV files. Imagine loading billions of rows as CSVs and then trying to do the processing. Instead, you have a cluster index, or you have a clustered column store, which is actually going to fetch the data for you from the database, which makes it several times faster, not just 1 or 2 times. In my opinion, it is going to make the process faster by 30 to 40 times. And when you have it as these tables and these formats, you can make it into a continuous growing one. It is so much more easy to have your real-time data flowing into your training model. You predict and you pass it back onto the training and so on. Doing these manipulations becomes a lot more easier if you know how to query and if you are able to do. At the same time, I would also like to say that building up simple models are fairly easy, but to build real serious models, you need to have a very good understanding of R. And R is not something like, in my opinion, it's not something, whatever I have heard from other data scientists whom I have met, it's not something that you can just go ahead and pick up, okay, in 6 months I'm a data scientist. No way. There are people who work on that, have their PhD degrees, they spend so much of time on statistics and all these things to get that skill. Probably you start exploring this, you have a mix of both worlds, then you become very, very competitive. Probably you spend about a year or so on R. There are interesting courses on Coursera. Have you guys heard of Coursera.com? Yeah, so you can probably take up 1 or 2 courses on that. Start learning a bit of statistics and algorithm. Not to compete with the data scientist, but if you invest certain amount of your time, then it can be a very, very terrific skill for you. Or at least know a few algorithms which you can actually use in your office to do things in a lot more efficient way. Any comments or questions? Yes, please. How many from the R user group out here? Anyone? You're the only one. I have asked you many. Yes, yes.
Some comments. I thought from the base point, it's more important that you actually understand statistics. Then this is only a tool.
In some sense, okay. In a way, it's good, important to understand what the algorithm is actually doing, because yes, this is just a tool, but which algorithm you want to know, yes, just like C++ or which algorithm you want to apply is something you need to have certain, yeah.
There's more to statistics than just using this.
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah, for example, you're talking about developing the model.
Yes.
How in the first place do you verify a model is a valid model?
Yes, absolutely. You have.
And I mean, here is garbage in, garbage out, you know?
Yes, absolutely. That's the point I was actually previously driving through as well. These are, what I'm showing is you have to go back to the first or the second slide where I was actually explaining the data science process, where you continuously evaluate what you have actually done. You take the data, you evaluate over and over again whether the algorithm and your overall system is able to predict. And the ROC curve, you need to check the evaluation process when you define the model. Okay. Okay, I mentioned that at the bottom of the slide where you have to train using an ROC curve to find out how much more. Yes, absolutely. There is no denying of the fact that there is lots and lots of iteration, and there is a lot of time spent in these two areas where you actually evaluate the model so much more times to figure out whether it is working or not. But as I said, you should start getting yourself exposed into this. There is no point saying that, okay, it is too complex for me to learn, and I will never ever take the dive. So as I said, if you start getting the understanding, then you have an ability to participate on the entire life process of the data science.
To simplify.
Yes, of course. As I stated, this particular session, in the expectation of this particular session, it is more from the angle. It is obviously you cannot wrap the entire data science process into one single slide. I'm giving a 12,000 feet overview of the entire thing. The target audience is not data science expert. As someone, it is more for people to get started with the concept.
Between running R from SQL Server and from Visual Studio, for example? From Visual Studio.
Okay, fundamentally, there is nothing much where, as long as you can set the context, even on Visual Studio, you can actually set the context to run from on the server. Okay. So that is not so much of a difference as far as developing a model or playing around to see the data. There is not much of a difference, but doing it from the management studio, you actually get the power to actually put the entire code into a single stored proc and deploy it a lot more easily. That's about it. Yes.
We are having few algorithms now, and our analysts, so they are running from Visual Studio or from RStudio, so it's their own preference. And to get the data for their testing, when they're developing, they use this RO DBC library. So they create this connection inside our script.
Yeah.
And we found also that if you can send only one input data set as a parameter to this external script, and it means that we have to use this connection inside our script.
Yes.
And does it mean that when we run external script from procedure, as you showed now, if we use that connection to SQL Server, will it use the advantage of this input data set?
As long as, to repeat, you can actually
So will it optimize it in a
As long as you set the compute context, there is something called RX compute where you actually set the thing has to be executed on the server, on the R client. As long as you set that, it doesn't matter what you're doing. The compute runs on the server.
It will be run there.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
One more question.
Yeah, it goes something like this.
In terms of resource allocation,
You just give me a moment.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
how does the server decides for which one should I give priority? Because you're running both the DB instances on our services. So you
More
may
on
have,
that in subsequent slides. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go for the next demo. Called linear regression. This particular algorithm is actually what it does, similar to the last one over here. This one also predicts based on certain columns. Over here, beyond 0 1, you can actually predict the value that you want to figure out. Another use of this algorithm is you can also see whether how much of a relationship between these columns and the column I plan to predict, whether does it have a very strong relationship, does it influence so much or not. So a typical use case is the advertisements or advertisement campaign to the sales. After advertisement, do you think the sales has improved? Does it have any relationship to the way my sales is progressing, and so on? What we can do over here, again more from a DBA angle of sorts, we have server and database growth, right? We have whatever, this is my growth, this is the server. So I want to predict how much my growth of my database will be after a certain period. Let's see how we can do that. I have this table called DB growth, which actually has the size and server name, date of growth, and so on. It tells me 312 GB, this is the growth, and etc. Now, we are going to again build up, like last one, we are going to build a particular model and train it, and then again, as usual, try to come up with some estimate. Over here, I am passing 1 month of data. January 2016's data, I am passing it, and every day the size is recorded per. And let's see how we can predict. Okay. Just to quickly go through, Rx linmod is the function that I am using. Again, similar to the last time around, size, server name, database name, DT. So these are the columns I think which actually influences, which are actually I need to take into account. I actually have to perform a similar task in my day-to-day office where I have to do capacity planning, meaning I have to submit. I think most of the database administrators will have to submit saying that what's your projection for next year, etc. Where I do a very, very naive, simple approach. I take a extremely simple approach of just taking last 6-month average and then just projecting it out. You'll be surprised there are many typical monitoring tools which actually takes last 3-month average and project 30 days, 60 day, 90 day projection. Instead, applying something which is sophisticated like this gives you a lot more realistic numbers instead of doing a blind projection of using just a 30-day average or a 60-day average. Over here, I go ahead and I said which month I want to evaluate, 2016 February. Okay, again I pick a date that's there already so that we get to compare. Over here, the syntax is pretty similar. Again, I'm using the same function to predict. This particular function is used for multiple algorithms for prediction. Over here, it gives me what is the predicted size. Because these are old months, we can actually compare what the existing size and the predicted size. It is slightly off the mark, around about 10 to 20% of the mark, but still something certainly better than whatever I'm currently doing with 3-month average or 6-month average, which is just a blind guess of sorts. Whereas this one takes into account how the numbers actually vary, and then it tries to apply. Yes, of course. Earlier I was actually explaining how it actually influences. Yes, little bit of effort needed to understand how you use it, but as I said, for a database administrator, you can actually think of many use cases where you can actually apply performance monitoring, capacity planning. You can use to analyze query regressions. What queries started performing poorly? You can start in SQL Server 2016. You have the query store, which actually gives you reports on query regressions. Even if you have an older version of SQL Server, you can port over. If you have the data of how much data the query, what the query performance is, you can actually port it over into a SQL Server 2016 instance and use these algorithms to quickly actually try to figure out which queries actually regressed. Error log, audit log abnormalities. You can even use this to analyze abnormal entries. We database administrators, when you have massive volume of error log to analyze, it becomes a lot more harder to do that manually. You can use that as well. Another interesting use case, somebody actually in this year's PASS conference, Joe Sack actually explained one of the interesting use cases was when a DBA goes on a holiday, what is the chances of you having a problem on the DB server? Interesting, right? So actually, if you are creative, you can actually do wonders with this. You start getting yourself exposed, then you actually start doing many things. You can analyze query store data, performance data, do capacity planning, error log analysis. You can do lots and lots of wonderful things with this. GUI mode meaning? Meaning, as of now, you have to cut and paste your R commands right into the stored proc. So there is no graphs, but you can obviously look at graphs and histograms. On the previous session, where the other gentleman actually was giving you an introduction to R, you can run the R commands alone to get some graphs or histograms using R commands on the R console or on the R client. When you are plugging it into SQL Server, this is the way you do it. Okay, as you asked, actually, how do you actually control the resources? One of the key things to R, again, is a memory hungry technology. So one of the key things is how do you size your memory for R? So launchpad.exe, over there you have the config file under the installation folder. You can actually set the minimum percentage. By default, it's just set to 20% of the physical memory available on the server. You need to carefully size it again, meaning allocate enough for your SQL Server, allocate enough for, you can adjust this cap so that you have enough for both the things to be running. One of the another interesting enhancements with resource governor is you can actually use something called external pool on resource governor, with which you can actually cap the memory that's allocated outside in the SQL Server's instance. You can use that to control which user account actually takes how much of memory for R outside SQL Server as well. Launchpad controls it at a R service level. Even at a user level, you can use RG. Suited for large servers, again, because you want to do heavy duty processing, you want to process large volume of data, you want to use column store and all these concepts on the database level. So bigger RAM, faster machines. Carefully size your memory. As I said during the initial slides, where once you install it, you get a group called R user group. Grant your permissions wisely. Do not overgrant, provide any additional permissions that are not needed for R execution. Number of distinct user sessions for R is limited to 20 by default. You can configure that, but unless you really need it, meaning when I mean distinct session, number of distinct SQL accounts which can execute parallelly R sessions is limited to 20. You can actually configure that. Set Launchpad service to similar to agent. Launchpad service is dependent on SQL Server. When SQL Server is stopped, Launchpad can also stop. So you would like to set it to automatic. Okay, references. Any questions? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Is this based on the Revolution Analytics?
Yes. Scalar. Yes, that's right. Before questions, I actually want to narrate a little story. Okay. One of my key references for this particular presentation was this ebook released by Microsoft, free ebook released by Microsoft Data Science. The author was Wayne Hon Talk. Okay. When last August I attended SQL Server Geeks conference, where one of my Microsoft friends actually introduced me to. He is this gentleman called Wayne Hon Talk. Okay, he's a very big expert in data science. Oh, okay. I just said okay, fine. Then he came up to me and spoke 2 lines. Okay, sir. Okay, fine. Do you use data science? No, I don't have much of exposure. Do you use this? No. Okay, what do you do? I just maintain servers. Okay, fine. Okay, all the best. Now when I read this book, oh my God, I was talking to someone so fascinating. He is the guy who has written this book, and I have been reading this book for the last 2 months. Out of that, I understand 30% of what he has written. Out of that, I'm presenting 10%. It's like you meet Tom Cruise, you haven't seen a single English film, you're an actor in Hollywood. All right. Okay, and then you go and watch a big movie. Oh, he's this great data scientist whom I met. My God, why I didn't read this book earlier so that I could have asked some interesting questions to him. So that was the feeling I was going through. I was just kicking myself. I meet this gentleman who has written this book. He holds a PhD from NUS. So, but I didn't have an interesting conversation even though I met him at that time of the day. So start learning, start exploring. Yeah. Just 1900 pages, not even less than that. Yeah. No, just 70, 80 pages probably. Yeah, that's about it. 70, 80 pages, just 70 to 80 pages. Yeah. You cut off the forward, all those things, it will be just. Analysis, still I would probably vote for R, simply because still analysis services has a lot of processing. You have to build your cubes, design, and then write. This one is a lot more. No, nothing. Each one has its own certain pros and cons. Meaning analysis services is targeted for a different kind of workload, where this one is more on prediction and what you want to do with it. Yeah. That is more on classification and so on. Any more questions, folks? Yeah. Sorry if you are super bored by this presentation, which was more on basics. I hope you understand the focus of this. Yeah, of course, of course.
We have just recently seen a case of real life,
Okay.
statistics gone wrong.
Of course.
In American elections.
Absolutely. Statistics keep going wrong, but statistics are in demand. You want to study everything, you want to predict. It's just like astrology. You know that it's going to fail, but still you flick your paper to see what's the zodiac sign like. It's not going to be true all the time. So at least know to learn how to use this actually. Yeah. Anything else, folks?
Nobody is asking, but you can install a standalone R server?
Yeah, you can. If your workload is more on non-SQL workload, probably you just have to do some text-based processing. You don't have much to do. You can just install R as a standalone as well.
But the licensing, then you know how it does work?
Okay. If you have a SQL enterprise license, then you are allowed to actually install R separately, and you can have your SQL server separately. Yeah. Standard edition, okay. Basic analytics is allowed, meaning there are certain limitations in terms of parallelism, but still the fundamental packages you can still use it on standard edition as well. Yes, of course. Yes. Yes, shoot.
I'm not sure if it has been asked before, but does it only work with R Open? There are like different versions of R, right? So we have the R that is from CRAN that we use.
Okay, this is specifically for Microsoft R. What we are talking about is strictly Microsoft R, or the version that has been developed based on R 3.3.2. So you can import your package into this one certainly, but this is based on.
We cannot use the other.
You have to import it. You have to import
R, which is like the R from CRAN.
R from CRAN. Basically, there are some fundamental differences. Basically, as I said, one of the two basic you have certain packages which are inbuilt. You can port your package into this. That's one. Even the way you use the functions over here, you would see Rx predict, Rx linmod, and so on. There you would just see something like GLM and just a prediction. This is more of the revolution analytics version of sorts. If that's all, thanks a lot, people. So if any further questions, probably I will take it up offline. Yeah. Thanks. We can break for another 10 minutes. We will start at 8:15. Yeah. You can take a break. Oh, thanks.
First of attempt was nice attempt.
Oh, thanks. Oh, yeah.
No, don't get. Whatever it pass, it's our. Paul, we don't need to return, right? The moment you pass us, it's our.
Thank you.
So that's.
Hey, happy thanks.
Hey, good man. Thank you so much.
It's quite far. I came from
I
Changi. It's
understand.
like
No, that's fine. Really, it's
around
quite far.
like an hour travel.
It's
Mic testing.
Another tip, because sometimes when the audience asks at the back,
Yep.
Actually, I think some moving fast. So the examples expire soon.
Are there any other meetups this week?
No, all our recording system runs on Windows. The hardware, no, the hardware doesn't work well on the Mac.
It's good.
quite funny, that one. Right? You know what I did? I put in the Android Studio and then create an APK, put on the simulator on my notebook just to see how it works. But it's very slow. They say the Android Studio simulator is really slow. And then I couldn't get the Azure server to work.
All of the setup are in the single.
Yeah. Some similar things on the
Just plug this. Just let me know when to do a call and like in one of those.
I think we are set. So can I start now? Just wait for another 1 minute. Let's see if anybody else wants to join.
If they hear your voice, they will rush.
Maybe yes, maybe no. They are enjoying their food or drink something. Can? Okay. So I think I will start with this question. So how many of you have already started this SQL Server on Linux? Anybody has started trying? Yeah, Googling I think everyone is doing. So who started doing some practical? Anybody? Oh, that's nice. That's awesome. Okay. So really, since actually Microsoft launched SQL Server, actually I just want to tell you I was part of the private preview. Means when the product they were building, so I was working with Microsoft team. So I was keep giving some feedbacks, whatever I could, free time I could figure it out, and I was helping them. So honestly, I was able to kind of find only one issue which I can tell them. So they already fixed. So it was like already that was in the queue. So then after that it started, and I realized really it's a awesome product. And why I'm saying it's not because I see a lot of people around. When I joined the private preview, around 2,000 people, and I think at the end, like before this announcement, around 22,000 people were participating in private preview. So it was like a very awesome thing, like you get connected with a lot of Microsoft people where you learn a lot of things, you get their input and how it works. So, and that's where really I got fascinated with this Urban Panda. So, and then I started exploring this website. Actually, Urban Panda, it has a lot of information. Whenever you get time, just go and Google. Probably you will get more information. So today's session, actually, I'm going to cover these all the things. First thing, why SQL Server on Linux? Second, we all know that there is a new version of SQL Server. We call it SQL Server vNext. But why we call it vNext? Means like you see, I don't know. You have monitor. You have started exploring this portion. Like you will get the ISO file, and you will also get the file something called Debian package or RMP package. You will see. So why this vNext version? Then I put 13 number of demos. Probably I can do more, but I'll see what I can do within the time frame. And then what is currently supported version and unsupported version, and then SQL PAL, basically basic architecture. I will be doing the next session, so I will be covering end to end the architecture, most of the part in depth. Probably if possible, time allow, I will use WinDebugger to show the how internally it flows. So this is all the agenda which I am going to cover in this session. So first thing, why SQL Server on Linux? So first thing, because till now it was like very limited to SQL on Windows. So when they launch on SQL Server on Linux, it's basically now it's all the across the platform. So any platform now you can use the SQL Server on Linux. Second thing, till now, if anybody, your client wants to use SQL on Linux, it's like they had to go with Windows. There was no choice for them. The third thing is like Oracle and MySQL databases are across the platform. Only SQL was not across the platform. The fourth thing, I was just reading this article, probably you already went through this article. So this Ars Technica says that last 3 years the demand for SQL on Linux got increased a lot. So the database general manager, his name is Rohan Kumar. So he said that that's the one of the reason we wanted to explore. So there is a history. If you know Salava Ox, he is the guy who developed SQL SOS. We call SQL Server operating system. So he was actually doing some project. After that he was searching for some other project. So that when he was searching some other project, so like SQL team asked him, why not let's work on the SQL on Linux. That's where he came in the picture. He worked with MSR team, Microsoft research team, and then he started working on Drawbridge project. Then that's where he finally developed this SQL Server on Linux. So the first picture came from him. It was in 28 Feb 2015, and the first announcement came, it was 3rd March 2016. So it's already a long time. They worked in background a lot, then they came in the picture. So this is all about. And the vNext, actually vNext is a version. This is same binary, means binary will be same for it goes to the Linux and it goes to the Windows or it goes to the Docker system. So means you can download, but the file extension will be different. For Windows it will be ISO. For Linux you will be probably Debian package you will be downloading, and for Docker the Docker related whatever package is there you will be downloading. So as of now the officially supported is like Cloud, Docker, Linux, Ubuntu and Red Hat and the Windows Server. But if you want to explore, because CentOS is a community driven operating system and it's free. So if you want to explore this on CentOS, then you can use CentOS, and it's actually copy of, you can say, the Red Hat. So you can, I have already installed and tested, it's working perfectly fine there. So I will jump into the demo because probably that's the most fascinating part. You want to see that how it looks like. So sorry? Is it GA? Yep. So tell me which SQL Server instance here is running on Linux, and sorry, let me zoom it. So which SQL Server instance here is running on Linux and which one is running on Windows? Any guess?
The above one is Linux.
Okay, the above one is Linux. Anybody else wants to try? Okay, anybody else? Okay, definitely one will be there, either first one or second one. Okay, so let me go to the system and I'll show you which one is running where. Okay, so I'm just going to the first one and I'm just connecting and just writing select version. Okay, and I'll run as a message box. So you will see it's running where, the first one. It's running on Windows 10 Pro machine on my system. Okay. Yeah. Now you can change your statement. And let's see the second one where it is running.
But you have a 50% chance of getting it correct, right?
Yeah, you have. That's why I wanted to check who is going to get the.
It's not an educated thing, right? You just guess.
Sorry?
Just throw a dice and guess.
I just wanted to check by seeing this one how you feel like. Is it running on Windows? You can figure it out. It is running on Windows or Linux. So now you see it's running on CentOS. You can probably, I'll just zoom in. So you can see here it's running on CentOS. Okay, so by seeing this one as a physical view is you won't come to know it's running on Linux or it's running on a Windows system. So even like simple, if you want to create just one example, this is my instance which is running on Linux machine. If I want to create a database, I'll just say SA, just hit enter. So the database will be created. So like the way we used to create in the Windows. So there is, if you are thinking, oh, I need to remember all my Linux command, no, actually not. When it comes to your administration part, yeah, you have to remember some commands. That is all related to the Linux. So I'm going to my Linux machine, and this is, let me connect to the hypervisor once again and open the Linux machine. So this is my machine. So I'm going to connect this. I think it is visible or not, just let me know. I think I'll try with zoom option if I can. Okay, first I need to come out. Okay, let me do one thing. I'll first connect with the Linux system and then I'll zoom it out. That will be easy for us, otherwise it is problematic always. So I'm keying my login username and that's my password, and we use IP config in Windows to check the IP, and I am using here if config, probably if you are already aware of the Linux command. So this is the IP. I'll just read it out for you. It says 10. One second, I'll just key at the same time. So I'll just close this, and I'm opening this putty here, and I'll just key the 10.104.68.103. So yeah, it's running on the VMware. So I can show you here is my VMware, and here is the machine which is running. So the first machine which is running. So you can see the name here, it says SG Ubuntu Online. So I connected already here. So it's asking, so yeah, it's connecting as a user Sachit. I think probably this is visible now. Yeah, okay, and I'm just keying the password. So I will just check the host name. So here I connected with that machine, and I'll just check the host name. So this is the same host name it says. Okay, so I'll clear the screen. So I'll just check, have I installed anything here or not. So DKPZ, it's actually Debian package which we can use to check the Debian package is installed or not. So I'm just going to check MS SQL Server. So it says no, I don't have any package here. Okay, so I think I need to just increase the font size from here, probably that will be better. You can change the setting, login terminal. So font size, I'll just make it 16, apply. So I think this, now it's visible. Background also.
Actually on this projector it is very visible.
Okay. Or is it? I'll just change it to color. I think yeah, if we turn off, now it's okay, I think. Is it okay or still not?
Using bolder, I think. To use Korea, using bolder.
Which one? Bolder.
Korea new and bold.
Korea new, yeah.
Bold. Use a bold version. Yes.
I think this is okay, right? Yeah. Okay. So we have already checked the package. So I have written couple of blocks on this. So I will follow because that will give you the understanding of both. So first part we are going to install SQL Server on Linux. So first thing, because we are going to install something on server, so we have to connect as a root user. So I will say sudo -i, so it will ask me password. So I will just key the password, and after that I will be connected as a root user. And then I will check, it's already I can connect my Linux system using putty, means I am in network, so I don't need to check the network portion. So I am going to download this key, Microsoft GPG key. So I'll just go here and simply key here. Okay, sorry, we got syntax with it. So I just need to remove that word syntax. So here it's actually it will download, and then next step is we need to download the Ubuntu related repository from Microsoft website. So I'm going to download this. So it's completed already the first portion. I'm going to yeah, I'll just put it. So it will just download. So it's already completed, and then I'll just check any update is there or not Ubuntu related. So let it get all the updates by the time. So it's all actually the update which I am getting, it's related to Ubuntu, not related to SQL, because I haven't installed SQL till now. So I am going to install now SQL Server. So this is the command sudo. Actually I am already connected as a root user, so I don't need to type sudo, but okay, I'll just try with apt get install. Apt get install is the command which says whatever package you want to install. Okay, so I'll just copy this and I'll just clear this screen and I'll just paste it here. So let's see, it's going to install all the, I think it's pretty much visible here. Yep. So it's downloading all the packages from all the related binaries, whatever needs to be downloaded from the website, and it's installing. It will take few seconds to complete. So by the time it's installing, let's see what is the, so when we are install, okay, so during the configuration it will ask us to key the SA password, and it will ask us to start the services SQL service, and then it will ask to reboot the SQL Server, the final, once we install successfully. So here it's done. So I'm going to do the now configuration. So we have done the installation here. Okay, I'm now going to do the configuration of the SQL Server. So it's asking me, do you want to accept the license agreement? I will say yes. So it's saying please enter the password for system SA account password is asking. So I'll just key a password there and then re-enter the password, and it will just configuring the password. Okay, now it's asking me, do you want to start the SQL service? Yes. Do you want to boot the SQL service? Yes, you say that. So your SQL service already started. So let's verify your SQL Server service is running or not. So this is the command system. I think I'll just zoom it this one. So this is the command which you can see, systemctl status SQL Server. So I'll just copy this and run it. So we can see our SQL Server is running here. So one thing, normally when we install SQL Server from Windows package, you get all the options. You want to install SQL Server tool, SQL Server full text search, replication, or whatever options are there, you can select those options. Here you have to actually install one by one. Once you install SQL Server, then you need to install the SQL Server tool. So tool doesn't mean that I'm talking about SSS, what you call Management Studio. I'm talking about the command prompt tool. Okay, so this is confirmed we are running SQL Server. So I can check for you the like SQL. This is the config of IP of the server. So I'll just copy this IP and I'll go to the Management Studio and I'll just connect this. I'll put this IP and I'll just key the password and it's connected. So you can see here is your SQL Server, it's already running. So this is what just now we installed.
Do they have the Management Studio package?
Okay, as of now they are planning to do it, but as of now there is no SS Management Studio for Linux operating system, but you can connect Linux instance on the Windows server using Management Studio. And they have developed one tool called, probably I'm wrong with the name, it's a VS Microsoft tool, some tool they have developed.
Yeah, so the VS Code which is running cross-platform.
Cross-platform. MS, yeah.
So you can sort of
install. So you will get the GUI option on the Ubuntu system and you can play with the Linux operating system there directly. So you don't need to switch to the Windows system where you are connecting with Linux instance on a Windows system Management Studio. Okay. So okay, I am going to now, this is done. So we have already done how we install this SQL Server. Now we will be installing the tool on the server. So, because if I want to connect, like if I say SQL cmd and e the local host, and then I say user as a SA and the password as a p @ this is the password. So, if I say it says SQL cmd is not found. So, basically I do not have this tool on the server. So, I need to install this tool here. So, again I need to tool related whatever repositories are there I need to download. So, I will just first download. So, I am already first step in the on the website it says connected as a root user. So, I am already connected. So, I am not following the first step. So, I will go and download that, and then it says get the update, because I encounter one time some issue. So, in this demo I do not want to encounter issue because we are already running out of time. And so, I will install the tool here. So, okay, one thing we just want to highlight, when you install the tool, it actually there is some dependent package are there like ODBC. So, that will automatically get installed. Okay. So, it will ask during the installation. So, I will just paste here this command and it is going to install the tool. So, I just remove because anyways I am root user. So, it is going to install this, it is saying yes, it is actually asking me because it is going to take 156 MB space on my machine. So, it is just asking me can I take that much space, I will say yes. So, it will start again installing, and probably you will get some prompt that accept the license term. Here is the snapshot. So, straight for that I think.
So what's the user account that the services are running
as of now MS SQL account. So, all the services which is running on SQL related on the Linux or any Linux, Red Hat or any system which is being owned by MS SQL account. So, they are still working, like their next phase is like implementing how the Windows AD account can be authenticated on Linux system. That's the next area. There are a couple of areas they are working, like full text search, replication, agent.
So, right now you cannot log in as an Active Directory user?
No, you cannot. So, here the license term. So, I will say just yes. So, it will continue, then it will prompt me for the ODBC. No, it's by default it will be created. By default it will be created. So, again it is for asking now for the ODBC. So, they have, I think it's a now it's a publicly available, it's a like a open source kind of tool now, ODBC. Okay, so we are done with here. So, I will just try to run that command and I will just copy it here. I think probably better SQL cmds local host. I will say user as SA, password as. So, yeah, we are connected with the SQL server on Linux machine. So, I will check the version.
So you can have SQL command prompt?
Yeah, SQL cmd, yeah, SQL cmd prompt. Yeah, you can say SQL command prompt. So, this is the, now we are connected here. Okay. So, we have installed till now SQL server on the Linux machine, we have installed SQL tool on the Linux machine. Now, we are going to, we have already see how it is connecting. So, no need to see how we can connect SQL server on the Linux. Probably you must be thinking why I am every time using IP not using the host, because the browser service is still agent is not there, browser service is not there, that is why I am just taking IP to connect to the instance, not the host name. And let us see the error log. So, we can read from error log as usual. This is the I will just remove these two instances. So, this is the normal machine. So, you go write sp read error log. So, you can read all the error log here. This is the one way to read. Another, you can use this command like here sp I think sorry sp read error log go. So, you can, but the problem with this, the format is not readable format. So, probably you will face a lot of challenges to read this. So, what is the best way to read if you want to read on this machine? So, I am just exiting from the SQL command prompt, and I will go to, you need to go to this location called cd. This is the root, this is not the, this is the root location we call it in Linux machine. Like in SQL Windows we have program folder where we go as a root folder, right. So, this is the root folder. I will just clear this screen, and this is the root folder. Oh, sorry, double CD. So, here you can see. So, it has data folder. So, where as of now it does not have a separate folder for like log file. So, it has a data folder, it has a log folder, and it is a ms.config. So, that portion I will talk about later. So, I will just go to the CD and log. So, log we will see what all the log file it has. So, you can see the error log it has hecton related in memory related files. Here you have extended event related files, default trace we have, right. So, we have default trace. So, I will just read the error log file. So, I will just clear this screen, and cat is basically reading the error log file. So, I will just read the error log file. So, it is more better way to read this error log file from using the cat. Okay. Any question till now here? If anything, just let me know. Okay. Yeah, we have actually I tested that one. I was encountering some issue, but we can do the offline installation. Then we can see the status, because if you are doing something on, probably you can check the status. How you can check the status? So, again, as we started like SQL, we were checking the status, right. SQL's systems CTL status MS SQL server. So, it is for the status of the service. So, what about you want to stop the service? So, just put it, remove the status and just put it stop. So, it will stop the service. Can we verify that? Yeah, it is failed, actually it says stop status. So, same way we can start, we just need to remove status with the start word. So, it will start the service. Let us again verify the status. So, it is now running. So, you want to enable or disable, we have command which we can enable disable the status. So, simply again you need to put disable here. If I go here and I just put option disable, so it will disable. It says actually this portion which you are seeing, this one, it has a file, config file. So, actually it removes the entry from there, something like that. So, I will definitely in the next session, when I said I will be talking about the architecture more, than where I will be covering this area, where we can see this file is actually, and then we can, okay, let us verify the status when I say disable. So, it is actually running. So, I just stop it and try to stop, and let us start. It should throw error status. So, it is actually started. Okay, and then I will just enable the, it will throw the error if I say the enable, because it is already running. And what is the status? It should show you the status. It is disable state, it is running state. Probably. So, here is actually, here is the status, it says disable because I have disabled even though it is running. So, let us change to disable to, I will change to enable state. So, it is enabled now, and let us see the status what it says. So, it says now enabled. So, this is the way we want to disable the status, like you want to do some activity on the server, you want to for a moment you want to disable the services, how you can do it. So, these commands which we using this command you can enable, disable, or you can change the status of the services. And then we will talk about, so this one is actually very important, the like we are mostly working on SQL, means we are mostly dealing with the Windows system. We very less deal with the Linux system, or probably the organization demand is there, like being a DBA you need to deal with the some of Linux system also. So, one of the biggest challenge which we find, like how I want to copy the file to the Linux machine, there are a lot of tools are there. So, but as of now they launch in the market and probably you are not so familiar. So, this is the best tool which I found. I was exploring Samba, probably Indian movie, if you know the Samba word exists for very famous movie. So I'm just going to install the Samba. On this machine actually I installed the Samba already. Reason why, because it's a 70 MB file and it takes a lot of time to get downloaded. So I just already installed. Oh, sudo Samba, something wrong. So you see it was very fast actually, it's just trying to get the update, it is not installing. So it's already installed. So what I am going to do, I will create a account there. I will share a folder on Linux machine which we can access from the Windows machine. So that you want to copy some file which you want to like backup, you want to move backup on the Linux machine so that you can restore. So how you can do it? So we will follow this one. So first thing what we need to create, we need to assign a user and change the password to that user. So my user is Sachit. So I am just using like Samba password -a Sachit. So it will ask me to key the new password for this user. So I will key the password and it will ask me to re-enter. So I will just re-enter the password. So this user added to that Samba software. Okay. And now the next step, it says I will create a, because I want to put a backup in a separate folder. So I need to create a folder, right. So I will go this place. And I'm selecting this var opt folder to put the backup folder there, because if you put this SQL under root folder, probably SQL won't allow you to let the control on that folder. As of now, probably it will be fixed. So I'm going to this location and I'm going to create a folder called SQL backup folder. So as of now I just see ls-l, it will show me what all the folders are inside. So I have only one folder called MS SQL folder. So I am going to create a folder called this mkdir command will create a folder called SQL backup folder. So I have created, let's verify the folder exists or not. So we can see that now the folder is there. So but one thing we need to notice, now this folder is being the access is being held by the root user, means someone who is root user, he can do everything, but probably the account which I added as a Sachit, he is a not root user until unless I key him as a root user. See here I am acting as a root user, not as a Sachit user. So I can show you, if I exit from here, then it will go to the Sachit, but Sachit is not a root user. So if Sachit user account wants to do something on this folder, he cannot do. So I need to give the access to SQL, as someone asked me the question which account is being used. So I will give the access here to SQL account, so that SQL, when I am taking the backup or copying the backup, it can go to there directly. So I will be changing the permission now. So I will be here sudo, this is the command which I will be using to change the permission. So it will first change, oh sorry, okay, because I am, no, just one second. Okay, wait a second. Yep. Something word. Yep. And let's verify now. Sorry, I need to go to that location first to see it got that permission got changed or not. So you see now previously both were root. Now this is the MS SQL. And then I will change the group access again. So here I will just change the group access and I will just verify ls-l. So now SQL Server got the access on this folder. So I want to take a backup, I can take directly there on this folder backup. So if as a user, like I am Sachit, if I want to copy something here, even though I cannot, because SQL Server has the access on this folder now from root user to transfer to the SQL user. So I want to give access to the Sachit also. When I will be logging this folder, means when I will be accessing this folder from the outside, so the root user you cannot access. So you need some user account which you have created. So in this case, on this machine I have created Sachit. So Sachit account can access that folder. So I will show you how we can achieve that. So here is the username. So I will just put the Sachit. So I am giving him read write access on that folder. So he now he can, but we cannot verify this Sachit has access or not from here. So he got the access there, okay. And I am going to take the backup. So I will create a test database there, and I will try to take a backup directly there. So I will go here and create a test database. So okay, and I will just backup database name, suppose in this case SA to disk equals to, this is the location we have. So I will just copy this location and paste it here, and I will just put it SA.bak. Sorry, am I doing something? No, this is the same connection, right? Oh, sorry, I am on wrong machine connection. Yep. So it's completed. So let's verify in this folder, now I have backup or not. So I'll go to the SQL backup folder and I'll check. So we can see SA backup. I just now took the backup, right? So we have the access backup. So means SQL Server can access this folder. Now let's configure the Samba so that you can access this folder from outside, means like from Windows machine. So I'll go here and I'm going to open the, using VI editor, I'm going to open the Samba configuration file. So I'll go here, clear here. So I'll go to the last. This is the last where I will be putting the information, what is my share folder name and which account will be accessing. So what is the path. So I will just press insert to write there, and I have already written the script. So I'll just copy here. So this is the script. So this is the shared folder name. So I'll just paste it here. So what I'm doing here, I'm saying this is the shared folder name. SQL backup is the shared name of the folder, and then this is the path. So we already know this path, we have taken the backup, and the username I'm just going to put the Sachit. So I'll just put Sachit as a username, and I'm read only no, it can be browse and it can be written. So I'll just press skip :sign WQ. So it is actually the, now whatever I put it there, it is written in the this Samba config file, and I need to restart the Samba service, Samba service. So I'm going to restart the Samba service now. So it, no, it's a free open source, you can just download. Okay, so we already know the, I'll just check the IP. So this is the IP. So I'll go to my Windows machine, I should be able to access. So here is the folder, we can see the folder now, and I'll just, it will ask me to key the username. So I key the username Sachit, and I will key the password, so I can access the folder. This is what the backup we have taken. And in case if I have any backup, suppose on my machine, let's assume that I have any small file, I'll just copy something, or this is the, probably I have this file, so I'll just copy here. So it's copied here. I'll go to the Linux machine again and I'll just verify is it there, so we can see. So this is the way, it's very easy way to transfer the files if you want to transfer backup and all those things. So any question till now in terms of starting the service, how we can see the error log and how we can copy Samba in case, because that's the reason I especially put all those detail in the slide, so that in case whatever we are discussing and you want to explore it, we will be definitely uploading this slide on the user group. So you can download and you can refer all those things. So I'm not doing anything extra, maybe probably I'm a bit fast because you feel like I'm moving very fast. So because I need to cover a couple of at least demos so that you can get the feel, and when you start doing, probably you need to spend a lot of time. It's as we are thinking, it's not as easy, but yeah, when you will spend a lot of time, then probably you will get more familiar with the this command and all those things.
Are the files compatible with Windows?
Which file?
The database files?
Yeah, those are the compatible with the Windows. So means I can detach and attach there, I can detach from Linux machine and I can attach in the Windows. So there is no issue as such. Sorry? It's a 1433, same. So I will be definitely, I will be changing the default port number also to show you. So again I will go to the what is here. So backup, we have options. If you want to directly download the backup, so you can follow this, like simply you go here and you can copy this link, and here is the command. So you can so we have already this backup. I just want to remove this backup, rm minus rf wide. So I will just remove. Well, let's see, this backup got deleted. Yeah, it's deleted. I'll just show you the Windows level. Yeah, it's no more there. So we have deleted from the Linux machine. So in case you want to download this backup directly, you can use this command, and here is the link. I'll just show you quickly how you can download, because probably you have a need where you want directly download this backup file on your Linux machine. So I'll just go here, copy this link. So it's actually, if you are aware, Microsoft already removing this adventure work database now. So I have attached the new worldwide importers database, so you can directly download here. So I will just go here and put, so it will start downloading. So it will take few minutes, and then if you want to restore, you can go ahead and restore that database. And here I'll just show you. I think it will take few minutes. 20 already, 30% already completed. Just wait another few seconds. Yeah, it's done. So we can see. So it's already. You might be thinking, oh, now the color is white. Previously it was green. It's because of some permission when you are copying from Windows to Linux machine. And then, do you want me to, okay, because this one is complicated, that's why I want to show you how you can restore this backup. Because as of now, just want to highlight, if your backup file has in-memory feature enabled and you want to restore, so with move command you can move data file and log file, but in memory option you cannot. So I want to highlight this area. So here you see this section. So here I am doing as a /. If you see this, I am doing as a / here, but especially this memory table I am doing the /, right. The reason why it's not as of now supported, they are still working, so it will be fixed soon. So if that's why I just wanted to show you, if you are okay to see the how we can restore this case, then I'll just quickly show you. We have already backup, so I'll just go here and verify this command, because probably I need to change this a bit. I'll go to the management studio, and here is the management studio, and I just need to replace this with probably match all, replace all, and then yep, I think so. Here, so say okay. In public preview, I just need to delete this whole line. So I can see it's okay. Yeah, it's compiling. So I can try to restore. Home, it's okay. The folder location is different, so I'll go just copy this location. Let's refresh. So it's started restoring. So whatever backup we have downloaded on Linux machine, so we can, like as he was saying, that compatible. So same, this is the same file which you download for the Windows machine. So I downloaded same backup file on the Linux machine, so it is compatible. So we can see we can restore the backup file there. And now I think we'll go ahead with the port detail. Yep, changing the port. You asked how to change the port here. So we don't have assets like SQL Server Configuration Manager in Linux, but they do have one file called MS SQL config. that file is actually replacement of SQL Server Configuration Manager. So, using that file you can change port, you can change default location of backup folder, you can change default location of data file, log file, and even trace. So, those high level things which you can do. I think I can show you what all the things you can do with that. So, I will just go to this is the tool, and I will just say -h. So, you can see these are all the things which you can change with this config tool as of now. So, you can set unset the password, you can set the collision settings, you can enable the trace flag, and you can validate. Validate is basically you do the server level setting change. So, that settings will be captured this validation, it will create a file and that it validates when you restart what are the default setting and what has been changed by the user. So, that file get created, and then list again. So, I will just, as I put it here as -h. So, I will just put it as a, where is that file, I will just copy here and I will just say list. I think I will just show you the list detail 1 second. So, anyways, just first let me the change to the this what we call the default port. So, first we need to check which port it is running. So, I will just 1 second, let me go to the out and here. So, this is the command where you can see which all the ports as of running on the what all the ports being used by which service. So, I will just run netstat and -tulpn, sorry, netstat, I just put it start. So, we can see these all the services which is running. So, SQL service you can see as of now, probably we need to. So, here we can see the service 1433, sorry, this one SQL related service is running. So, I will just change this port to new port. So, I will go here and I will just type here. So, I just put it 2381. Okay. So, applying this says that applying the new port to SQL service, but we have to restart the services. So, I will go ahead and restart this service. So, again I am going to run systemctl restart MS SQL service. So, this is the command. So, it will restart the service, and now I again verify which port it is listening now. Yes, as of now I haven't tested honestly, and I didn't get any document related to have multiple instances running, but yeah, I can install and can get back to you on that. Yep. No, sorry, I didn't understand.
In this command, we are giving MS SQL -server. So,
Oh, that you mean to say multiple service? That's why I'm saying I need to one time I need to check and then get back to you how we can do that. So, I'll go here and I'll check the port number now. So, this is the port number which is listening now 2381. So, let's verify from the management studio. So, can I connect using 2381? So, here is the 2381, and so yes. So, we have changed the port and we can connect using that port. And this is the default, like if you want to change, you created a default folder for log file and the data file, and you want to change the folder. So, you can use same command, just you need to change the parameter instead of like port number you passed it, you can pass it like SQL log folder where you want to put it that folder. So, here is the command. So, actually I am in this folder, I am creating a separate log file folder, I am changing the access to the SQL service so that it can access, and then here I am changing. So, here is the location which I am setting. So, basically once I change, I created the folder, I have given the access to SQL service to access that folder. So, then I am setting here the default log directory which is this folder. So, once I set, then it will ask me to restart. The moment I restart, it will be applicable. So, when I create a database, the file log file will go to that location. And the best thing I think, how many times anybody has rebuilt collision at this instance level? Have anyone tried on Windows system? Rebuilding collision setting means like you install the SQL server, but the reinstall, but it was a very painful, mainly like not really reinstall. There are options, you can uninstall, reinstall as you said that, or you can rebuild master data, and that's where you can do that. So it's a kind of rebuilding all the options, right. So but it is very painful task. Let's see in SQL Server Linux how we are changing the collision setting. So first step I am saying that, I will just zoom it out. First step I am saying connect as a root user. So basically we are already connected, so no need to do anything there. I will just clear this screen, and then I am saying run this ms config utility to set a new collision. So I will just run this option. So it will ask me to key the collision. Okay. So it says will change the collision for SQL Server and restart the server. Continue, yes, we want to. It is asking me to give the new collision setting. So I will just pass any collision. Sorry.
Can you check what was current?
Okay. So I think we are already connected with this one. So why not? Let's connect here, and somewhere I must have some command to check the default one. So we can just select properties, because I can do the comparison later on. So that's why I just writing this one, server properties, and we can just collision. So this is the default one. Okay. Let's whatever it is here, I'll just take it this one as a easy, because I don't need to search for the new collision. So I'll just key as a SQL Latin. I think I'll go to the Microsoft website. From there I'll just copy paste. Yeah, AI, right? AI is okay, right? I'll just change it AI. That's nice idea. So the moment you key, it will automatically be rebuilt for you. So you don't need to do anything else. Okay, so this is done, and let's see what is the collision setting now. No, actually I put it AI only, right? Sorry, I put it the same collision setting. Just let me. We can AS. I can put it the. Yep. Sorry, I just put it the AS. So basically we can achieve it very fast. In Windows version we have to follow a lot of steps if you are rebuilding the master database, and probably if you are uninstalling, again it's very time consuming process. Here it's not so much time consuming process. So we have, so here we can see.
We can't do the same thing on VNext.
I haven't tested on VNext, but I'm sure we need to follow the same thing, VNext. So this one is like pretty fast. So it was VI initially, and now see here it was VI initially, now VAS. So changing collision becomes so fast. It's not one thing, there is another one thing like SA. So most of the time as a DBA we forget SA, what is the SA password, and if you want to connect SQL Server using SA, we don't know the password, we don't never maintain, that's a problem. So using that tool, this tool give you the option to change the SA password also. So that tool is very useful. Now the second question you might get, how come, because it's a, what about the security one? So that's where the admin portion comes in the operating system, like who is going to manage the operating system. So what kind of rights as a user you are going to have.
Here Linux admin is having admin permission.
Yeah, they are having an admin permission. So definitely they are still working on couple of areas to improve that. So basically this public preview will give them more clear picture, because they will get now, as in a private preview they have very limited customer, right. So when it is open for public, so they will get connected with a lot of people and they will get a lot of feedback. So that's where they are keep improving. It's actually, you think about, they have 40,000 million code or some 1,000 million code they have. So it's not practically possible to change all the codes. They started this project a long time back, they wanted to change it everything. over the period they run the show, then after that if they realize it cannot be done, then they just scrap the project. And then after that this MSR team, they build the Drawbridge project, and that is where they get realized, because there is a project called Modry or some project was they done the, actually there was a Windows application they wanted to run on the Linux platform, and they were able to do that. So that is where the thought came in the picture. So what was the challenging portion, because SQL Server talks at the user level and at the NT level. So there are some codes which still goes to the NT level, means we call it ring 0 level. So they wanted to move that the ring 0 level codes to the upper level, means user level, so that it is not bounded with the Windows operating system only. So that is where they introduced the second layer of operating system. So this is all about the demo. Any question you have demo, let me know, I can help you further. So I will just continue with the slides there. So this is the, as of now, the supported features. So pretty much what we have as of now in the Windows, it's all there. We as a feature wise, we can see the in memory, compression, always on encrypted, masking, service broker, data change data capture, partitioning, auditing, everything is there. And they are still working a lot of what we call it the server level. There are a lot of features they are still enabling. Yep.
Is that the CLR there? Is that SQL CLR?
Yeah, it's a SQL CLR.
That means .NET Core.
.NET Core. .NET Core is already there. I can probably I think I can show you what all the core files are there. So I have written one detailed block on this tool. Probably I can just quickly go there and show you. This is called config manager SQL Server in depth. Now this is a service file, and then I talk about the config manager. So I will show you what all the files when you talk about the .NET. So you can see there is a .NET file also. Yeah. So if you go, so this is the tool I have written in depth. When you run this tool, actually it creates a file. It's create a file. So here is a list option. So you can see what all the files it does. So from there you can, using that tool, you can see the files also. And I am going back to the slide because I have very limited time to finish everything. No, it's still in progress. They are coming with replication, they are coming with always on, they are coming with all the whatever features we have on Windows as of now, they are all bringing on the Linux and your basically vNext version. Okay, these are the unsupported features. So probably soon you will come to know the full text search is out in the market, replication also, and your agent related services will be out in the market soon. So they will be probably soon releasing another version. And this is all the as of now not supported features. And then introduction to SQL Pulse. So this is what I was talking about. So they have your database, they have analysis services, integration services and reporting services. And then they introduce a new platform that's called SQL Platform Abstraction Layer. So actually because till now last 35 years SQL Server has been running on Windows, and now they wanted to run on the Linux machine. So they cannot change the all 35 years work, means all the codes. So they introduced, as I said, that a Drawbridge project. From there they actually identify like which call should go to the Linux machine and which call should go to the Windows machine. To achieve that, they introduce another layer of operating system that's known as a SQL PAL operating system. So if we zoom it, it looks like this. So here is means like any latency related that will go to the SQL OS, so existing operating system which was introduced in 2005, and then it directly like latency. What I mean by the latency, basically like any IO related stuff, any network related stuff that directly goes to the host extension, and other than that anything which goes to the Windows 32 API. So previously those APIs was at the kernel level, those moved back to the on the top level, means user mode. So everything is now processing in the user mode, and anything which is need to be processed the kernel mode, then it goes to the host file extension and then further move on. And this is the zoom in architecture. So if you see your database is here. Here is the Windows APIs, means when you are running your SQL Server on Windows system. So this is the API which will be called when it is running on the, like even though it's running on the Windows, it will call the SOS APIs And then these are the things area they have actually being dealt by the SOS V2. V2 is basically SQL Pal. Probably in future you will see they will remove SOS and they will keep only one operating system. So that is the future plan from Microsoft as of now, because they cannot, because there are so many IP means instruction point in SOS. So they cannot change as they want. So they are planning to merge only one OS for everything. So probably whatever overhead, if it is there, then it will be removed also if they make it one operating system. So, and what is the next? So what we are going to see the soon, like always on another feature which I was talking not supported, those will be supported here, AD authentication and all those things. And if you are interested, then probably they have some early adoption program. Probably you will get the free licensing for whole means some year that you need to get connected to Microsoft to get concrete detail how long you can get the free licensing and all those things there. And like they are pretty fast. They announced on 7th March 2016. They launched as a public preview on 16th. They announced on 7th. Public preview was 16th, and most probably in mid 2017 this will be as a normal product launch.
It's a CTP. It's not a GA.
Sorry.
It's a CTP.
CTP. It's a CTP. It's a CTP version. It haven't released, but yeah, in US there are, I think they were saying some like couple of companies they started using that. So they are using as a production environment. So there are customers they are using, because that's where they offer like couple of customers, like you come and in our environment bring your data and we will do the load testing for you, everything we will check for you. That's what the Microsoft offering in the private preview. So many people during the past, if you know that a lot of people went there and they work with Microsoft, they share their information and they do a lot of load testing. So this is all from my side for the SQL on Linux. Anything you have any question on this, just let me know, and probably we will do a more in depth on especially this portion, how this work, and the tool portion. When the tool you run, actually what file it creates, which location it creates, that tool portion we will be discussing. And if you are more interested, so I will show you the calls, like as I said that there are 7 files which will be called by when you are running the SQL on Linux. So which all those files, like system files, .NET files, certificate files, those files, how, when it is really called. So we can see that from the WinDbg. Sorry?
The other alternative is to install a Docker image.
Yes, correct.
Are there any published benchmarks, comparisons?
I think officially they have it, only 1 or 2 they have released, not a lot of. So that the one was released in it's in March itself. After that they haven't come up with any comparison as of now. But yes, go to on channel 9, they have shown the comparison on the in-memory table, so how the faster transition is moving on. So in channel 9 they have released a couple of videos there. So that's all from my side. Thanks.
I have one quick announcement to make. Recently we launched a poll on our Facebook page regarding the topics for the pre-conference or one-day training session which we plan to do in March. So if you haven't seen it, go ahead and vote. The topics that you want, we are organizing something like a training program of sorts sometime in March. So if the topics you want to listen are listed, what are your favorite topics on the Facebook page? So you can go ahead and vote and let us know what you like. Yeah.